okay, this is an experience I had in 2014. And it was just a normal virtual reality experience that they give me, where they kind of mock my reality in 3D, and then they give me a virtual reality experience in the altered state. Yeah, it's cool. It's like totally real. Like, you know, even though you're laying there in bed or whatever, you know, when they take you, well, it's kind of like an out-of-body experience as well, because you're completely out of body or whatever. But they're not necessarily taking you out of body. They just know how to give you virtual reality experiences that seem no different than 3D when you're laying there in bed. See, I think a lot of people, they have these same kind of experiences, and I think they think they're real, you know. I think they think they really got abducted, like physically abducted. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they think they may have these similar experiences, and they think that they were really there, you know what I'm saying? Like, physically. Like, but they're not. They're just full of shit. They don't understand their experiences. Because the aliens, they just have capability of, you know, screwing with your mind like that. Like, I wasn't really there. I mean, I was laying there in bed in this town. I moved here in 2010. But, you know, I used to live in Austin, Texas for 3.5 years. And, I mean, you'll know it. If they really abduct you physically, you would know it. Your body would know it. And your brain would know it. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like, this wasn't a true physical abduction where they're like, oh, they literally placed me at my workplace in Austin, Texas, and I'm sitting there walking around. No, that's why it's called virtual reality. Because it's virtual reality. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, there's a lot of misinformation and stuff. People like try to explain their alien abductions stories and stuff, you know. The chances of them being physically abducted is slim to none. I mean, like, with these kind of experiences, because normally you're in an altered state of consciousness. You know what I'm saying? You're normally not just like walking around in 3D and get physically abducted. Although I guess some people do get abducted like that. But that would be a very rogue way to abduct you. They normally don't do it like that because they know that would be very stressful for you. But I'm just saying they probably do that, but probably not very often. You know, where you're just walking down the road. I'm talking like right here and now, where I'm walking down the road and just get physically abducted. Now, they may do cats like that because, you know, cats, their brains are not going to know, you know, they're not going to be as traumatized as if they abducted a human like that. So when they abduct humans physically, at least when they abduct me physically, they do it just bam, like when I go to bed, like when I go to bed, when I fall asleep, boom, they physically abduct me. And then they when they suck you back in bed and everything, it's, I don't know, it's very traumatic. It's still very, very traumatic. And then, of course, they block 80% of your memory, so you only remember the beginning and the end. And you may feel very exhausted and stuff once you wake up, like I did. I felt very weak and exhausted. I knew I had been physically abducted. My body knew it. I knew it. But I'm just saying, some of these people, they explain their abduction stories, and they're making you think, like, you know, that they weren't in an altered state of consciousness, but the chances of, you know, them, that they really were in an altered state of consciousness is a lot greater than, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't tell you the whole story, you know, because you're thinking, okay, was this person in bed or what? Like, I don't know, like, like Barbara Lamb has regressed people, and they're sitting there telling her that they were at a no, they were at like a bookstore or something like that, and they ran down to the end of the bookstore and went to the bathroom and had sex with like 3 female reptiles. You know what I'm saying? That chances of, but they're making you think like that was like all physical and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like in 3D, but they're not telling you the whole story. It didn't happen like that. It didn't go down like that. Chances are they were in an altered state of consciousness. And the aliens, well, yeah, I mean, they abducted them, but they abducted them, astrally. Their whole body or just their brain or whatever, their mind or whatever. And then, so yeah, I mean, it's a real true experience. It's just that, somebody that doesn't know about this shit, or has never experienced it, they're just gonna believe, oh, they're just sitting there abducting you like all physically. And like if I go to the bookstore right now, I'm gonna get abducted physically, or be tampered with physically in the bathroom and, screw 2 reptile aliens or whatever. And it doesn't happen like that, you know what I'm saying? But there have been times where they took me out of body, and I do believe I was still out of body, and the people could not see me. The physical people could not see me. The physical human could not see me. But I could see them, like back in Kansas City. I went out of body, and I didn't have to astral travel very far because it was to the schoolhouse down the street, and I've never even been to that school. I was way beyond school years. So like they placed me in the school, and I was walking around the hallways, and I was like zooming in on, I was like, like concentrating real hard, zooming in on these, like as if I had x-ray vision or something. I was like zooming in on these people's faces. Like I saw a teacher, I saw students, and I was walking around looking at them, walking around the hallway. And I was just like, wow, I can see them, but they can't see me. And that I believe, I really was out of body, and I was really in 3D, in that schoolhouse. Like I was really in, out of body, but really in real-time 3D. But I haven't talked about all those experiences I had back then, 2004, 5, and 6, and 3, or whatever. But still, that could have, I don't know, I still don't think that was virtual reality. I think I really was, in real-time 3D in that schoolhouse. But it still could have been just virtual reality. It may not have been real, so to speak. Yeah, I guess my cat's in heat, man, but she just, not long before Bobby died, I think Tora was in heat first, and then Hannah just, bam, got into heat. So that was just not too long ago. I don't understand why she's going in heat again. But I don't understand why she's meowing like that, so she's got to be in heat or something. And Bobby's not around to, like, mess around with her, because he died. Well, he's in here ethereally. He's just not in here physically. But apparently she's in heat, because I don't understand why she'd be running around meowing like that. She's been meowing like that for like 3 or 4 days now. Yeah, okay, so anyway, so this experience went down like this, and this was in 2014. And they're still giving me these awesome experiences, even today. But, okay, so, now, and sometimes when they astrally abduct me, I start flying through the air, or outside in the daytime, or in a black, realm. I'll start astral traveling or whatever. Sometimes they abduct me like that. And then I'll be like, wow, anticipating, like, when am I going to land into the virtual reality scenario? But this experience, sometimes the virtual reality experiences just like, bam, just start right in the 3D fill-in experience. So this experience, I didn't astral travel to get to the scenario or whatever. It just started out like this. Like I was in bed and everything. And like I say, this was in 2014, and I lived in Austin, Texas, up until 2010, up until 2010. And so I worked in this building, and it had the little roundabout. Like I would go in, I always, went in this door right here. You had to put your badge up there or whatever, and then go to the right and the little roundabout, whatever it's called. Okay, so this is how the experience started. Just like, bam, I was going to work, and I worked nights back then, and even in this scenario, it seemed to be about 4 p.m. or whatever, because that's when I started work. And, okay, so yeah, so I just I was just there, I started, walking up to the roundabout, and this feels no different than 3D. I mean, it feels no different than 3D. And lucid dreams are a little different, but this feels no different than 3D. And okay, so I started to just walk into the little turnabout. This is how it started, walking into the roundabout door. And I walked, this building and everything, it was exact, inside the building was exact replica of real life when I worked there in real life. So I went inside, the workplace. I started going straight, and then I took a left, and in real life, that's where my cubicle was, to the left and then to the right. But then when I downgraded to another job, my work area was, go through the roundabout, go straight ahead, take a left, and then take another left. And then I worked over there in another cubicle when I downgraded. Okay, so in this scenario, they made it like as if I was already, going to my job, not the first job I had, the second job when I downgraded. Because I was in the collection department, and then I downgraded to another job. And so in this scenario, I was going to my cubicle, for that second job that I had for the past 6 months that I lived there in Austin, Texas, and then I moved here. Okay, yeah, so this is how it starts. Okay, so I walk in the roundabout, and then I go straight ahead for a few feet. Then I go to my left, and I look over to my right. Now, in real life, there wasn't a huge cubicle right there. But in the scenario, there was before I took my left, there was a huge cubicle to my right. After I took a left over to the right, in the middle of the floor was a huge cubicle. And it had like 2 to 3 dirty litter pans sitting there. And it had 2 of my cats running around and playing in the cubicle. And it was Patty and Bobby. Not the other cats, it was just Patty and Bobby. And they were like frolicking around in the cubicle, and it was kind of messy. There was litter everywhere, and there was a litter box. And it was kind of dirty and stuff in the cubicle. And the aliens are funny, man. They have a sense of humor. Of course, in real life, there really wasn't cats and a litter pan in that cubicle. So then, and like I said, this experience was pretty, it wasn't real long or anything. It's pretty fast. Okay, so then I took, after I observed that, my 2 cats tearing up the cubicle, it's like as if I was babysitting them at work or something, and I had brought them to work to babysit them while I worked or something. It's so weird. Okay, so then I took my left and proceeded to go to my cubicle, which is at the very end of the wall. And I had to bypass 3 cubicles to get to my cubicle. So after I observed the kitty cats, my 2 cats messing up the cubicle and the litter pan, I took a left, and I stopped at 1 cubicle, and I turned to my right, and then up came this gray type of alien just staring at me, just popped up, just staring at me. And this gray type of alien, it had completely round eyes, and it had black marks under its eyes. I don't know what it was, but, and like I say, I know these look kind of like cartoon, but in the scenario, these were 100% real aliens. They were totally real. And, but they had completely round eyes, and they had black marks under their eyes. And, but like I say, I don't know if it was, I don't know, it was just how their skin was, I guess. And I know this, I had this Romanian friend, and she said the same thing. Like, she saw some of her beings, and they had, like, black marks under their eyes. Like, I don't think it was, like, bags. Like, I don't know. But anyway, there were black marks under their eyes. And anyway, so I just started staring at the being, and the being started staring at me. And the being seemed very, like it was scared of me. It did not seem like friendly. It seemed like it was just scared of me for some reason. Like, I don't know why the aliens made it be like that, but it seemed like it was scared of me. And like I say, a reptilian gave me this experience, I have no doubt, because I know their style. And I know the Greyz style. Sometimes the Greyz will give me these experiences, but 99% of the time it's a reptilian. And so it was a reptilian that gave me the experience. But, you know, these beings, even though they were a real species of beings, that doesn't mean that they really were real, if you know what I mean. I mean, they were totally real, no different than if my grandma showed up, you know, because they placed my grandma real as could be in my scenarios. But it really wasn't her, you know what I'm saying? It's just, they could do virtual reality replica of anybody and place them in your scenario and then be 100% acting like them and looking like them. But it's not really them. It's just virtual reality replicas. Okay, so I'm not saying that these beings were really real, if you know what I'm saying. I do believe they're real, true species, but they could have been placed in my scenario unbeknownst to them, if you know what I'm saying. Because just like when my grandma showed up, completely real, it was completely her and everything, over at her house, in that one scenario that I posted around Christmas. It was Christmas time in that scenario. That really wasn't her. You know, the aliens just know how to put exact replicas, real life replicas of the person in your scenario. Of course, people that don't know about this alien stuff, they're going to think it really is them. If they have they're just going to be like, oh, I had this dream and she came into my dream. And they're going to believe it's really real. Like it really was their dead grandma. But I know these beings very well, and, you know, they mess with everybody's head. Okay, so anyway, so then I went on to the next cubicle, and I turned to my right. The same kind of species of alien popped up and just staring at me like it was scared of me. And it didn't telepathically say anything, and I didn't telepathically say anything to it. And then the next cubicle, I walked to the next cubicle, and I turned to my right, and the next alien popped up. And just kind of and I was just staring at him and staring at him. And they were just staring at me and staring at me. But like I say, they seemed scared. They seemed scared of me. And, so anyway, like I say, I worked in this building up until 2010. And then, you know, I already moved to this town and everything. And then in 2014, they gave me this experience. They've given me 2 other experiences to Austin, Texas, too. Some were virtual reality lucid dreams. Actually, both of them were. But they were still as real as can be. Yeah, I didn't talk about those experiences. But yeah, they've taken me to Austin, Texas a couple other times, too. After I had already moved back here. They did, well, actually, I don't know, I guess that could be another video. But, yeah, so, like I say, these beings, like, I don't know why they had the black marks under their eyes, but I guess it was just part of their skin. And like I say, their eyes were just completely round. They probably were a little bigger than this. Completely round. like I said, I can't draw very good, but they were real beings. I mean, they were completely real. So I have no doubt that species, exists, but that doesn't mean they were really real and aware in this experience. They were just placed there unbeknownst to them by the reptilian. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so anyway, that was my experience to Austin, Texas, my virtual reality experience. But yeah, the reptilians, man, they have a sense of humor. They'll do funny things, like I said, because that's pretty funny, putting 2 cats in my cubicle. Or, I mean, not my cubicle, a big cubicle. It was more like a, almost like a manager-sized cubicle, but not quite that big. That was before I turned the corner and headed to the left. With the litter pan and everything, it was kind of funny. They have a sense of humor, man. They've made cats talk before. They've made my turtles talk. Yeah, they're pretty hilarious. Thanks for listening.